Welcome everybody to If I May. This is Kyle. I got two of my friends with me, Nick and Brent. Dylan, he's out this week. He's got some army stuff going on, but do we have a doozy for you of an episode? We start off with some simple stuff like how to do butt sledding. We go into some life updates. We've been talking about Game of Thrones a lot the last couple weeks. We touch on it for half a second to say it was bad. And then we go into our life updates because we haven't talked about that for a bit. Hit up some golfing. Nick had a nice tournament. We talk about our golfing skills, as well as other skills such as desk building. We go into a cool topic about top 5 lists, but we don't give you the category. You have to kind of guess the category as we give you the top 5. Nick was able to guess mine right away. Very unfortunate, but very impressive. We then talk about some professional games such as MLS and MLB. I went to my first MLS game, and we had recently gone to some MLB games. And then we end with just this erroneous, but on all accounts, way that Brent eats cheese curds. It is very un-Wisconsin of him. I hope
Don't knock it till you try it.
I hope that you guys are not terribly offended, but that'll be at the very end, and you'll have to judge him yourselves. But with that, this is episode 50. Let's go. Brent, you wanted us to do a life update.
Yes, we've gone away from it, and I feel like our lives are once again interesting. Actually, mainly last weekend was Memorial Day weekend, and I haven't really talked to at least Nick for seems like days. It's heartbreaking. Days, man. Days of not talking to Nick. So lots of life has happened in between. Actually, we had a really nice weekend. Some college friends came to town, hung out, Heather, and we went on the craziest, coolest adventure of all time. Glissading. Glissading. Yeah, good question. Thanks for asking. Glissading is basically how I consider like sledding for adults. So you rent these ice axes, which look epic. I mean, you're carrying basically what these climbers use to climb up these crazy mountains. You find a mountain that has some snow. You climb up that mountain. We went like 4 or 5 miles up this mountain, or hiking to and up to the mountain. And then you slide down on your butt. It's crazy. It's awesome. You go in. Like I went in.
Do you have any specific kind of pants on to make sliding down easier? Like how are you sliding down your butt?
I think you could do it in any pants because it's very steep and the snow is pretty like crunchy, slip or like slick. I wear rain pants just because you're going to be in the snow and you're going to be wet regardless. So I was thinking rain pants is the way to go. I made a mistake though. I ended up getting super wet and kind of like scratched up a bunch because you think when you're sledding, right, you want to go as fast as you can. So you start to lay down to go quicker. The thing is, if you lay down, the snow just rakes over your back. You're like supposed to sit up the whole time going down. And that way you have a little bit more control and it doesn't like your shirt doesn't come up and you just get like rashed all over. But it was awesome. You have this phenomenal view. I was thinking like, hey, no sled. You're not going to go that fast. Like I've been on sledding hills and I've tried, sitting on your butt and going down. You don't go anywhere. But the way the snow was kind of like this crunchy, icy snow. You just slip and slide and, it's awesome. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done.
That reminds me of the kind of thing we would do in college where like we'd snag trays from like the lunch like area and then go sledding on the lunch trays. That was a good time.
Except for instead of having a lunch tray underneath you, you don't have anything underneath you and you have this ice axe, which is your emergency stop.
It's like your e-brake.
And actually, because you have to like roll over on your belly and shove the ice axe into the snow to try and stop if you're going too quick, which adds a whole nother layer of danger because you're thinking about you're carrying this like pretty sharp
you're carrying an ice axe
as you're sliding down going incredibly quick, like just flipping and going, and you're just it's thrilling. And some parts, and we got really lucky, we made sure to be extra cautious with this, but there's parts of the snow because you're on this mountain and it's springtime. I mean, it's end of May for goodness sake, where there's just you go in the snow. Heather actually almost fell into one of these where there's nothing. It's like a layer of snow and then like a 6-foot pit. where Heather like got a foot stuck in one, I think, but it wasn't the end of the world. But it's just one of those things where it's like, or it's like right next to a mountain, so you can like fall in. There's like a big rock crevice basically, and we avoided those and made sure just to go on like kind of the safer paths. But I'd love if you guys come up sometime. You can only do it in like end of May, beginning of June, because there's a very small window. We did it on Mount Rainier.
That's just when the snow's right or something like that?
So in Mount Rainier, they close off a lot of the roads because of the snow. It's like it's a huge national park, but they have like it's really dangerous conditions in the winter, so they close off a lot of the park. So they open it like the weekend before Memorial Day or the week before Memorial Day. So you have like that little bit before the summer, like the summer melts all the snow. Like you can already tell in spots that it was starting to like switch over into summer. But yeah, it's a very, very cool thing. I should get some pictures up on social media so people can see it. There's a video. We took video of people going down, and the first time I did this, I'm grabbing on. I go down this really steep part, and I lose control, and I just like the ice axe flies out of my hand. I end up spinning around.
So you have no way
and
of
just,
stopping
like,
then?
No, I end up just like going head first, like laying like a starfish, just like once he's like slowed down. It was
Head first on the mountain is definitely the best way to go down a mountain. So I've been
Oh
told.
yeah. It was a giant kind of field area. I mean, it was like a steep mountain hill, but it was just field kind of thing. And I look really, I'm just like flailing around, and all of a sudden I just like turn around and you just like relax, and it was fun. So that was probably my big adventure of Memorial Day weekend. Did you guys do anything crazy or fun for the weekend?
I don't think I did. I think my Juliana and I played tennis one day, but otherwise we just kind of use it as a chill weekend. Like it's not quite nice enough here to go camping yet, or at least not up in the mountains where you want to go camping. There's still like plenty of snow and it's a little cold up there still. Plus, in general, we've had like a kind of a cold wave in the mountains, or just in the area where like it's like 58, 59, something like that, which is just, it's typically already in the 70s, almost 80s by this time of year in general. Plus it's been like super cloudy, like a couple days in a row, which is super uncommon. So I've been told, cause like it's supposed to be like this is literally the area of the country with the most sunny days per year kind of thing. And to have almost like a week and a half now at this point of kind of cloudy meh weather is like super rare. So yeah, we just kind of hung around, didn't do too much, and played tennis on Monday because it was a little nicer. And honestly, because it was overcast, it was kind of nice for tennis because there was not a sun beating down on top of you while you're, all hopping around, all nimbly bimbly hitting the ball.
Wait, so did you guys get snow at all, or?
The mountains got snow down in the like Lafayette, Louisville, Boulder area. We did not. We definitely got a little bit of rain, and which is actually really good. We're officially, I think us in California are now officially out of drought because of the rain/snow that came down in the mountains/city area. So that's awesome. That means that when we go camping, we'll be able to start a fire wherever, as long as, obviously you have to make sure the area is safe for starting a fire and you have like a pit of some sort made up. But yeah, we should be able to start fires when we do eventually are able to go camping. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, Nick, you did a sport. You did some, what was it, golf tournament or something?
Yeah, every year my family has a golf tournament at my father's hometown in the Upper Peninsula. It's a real small hometown thing where all of the local yokels get back together and
yokels
hang out.
What a Yooper thing to say.
A little goofing. And there are all kinds of events and prizes and a little bit of a few friendly wagers, if you will, around the results of this tournament. And I was fortunate enough to, again, golf with my father. We do a pairing where my father and I are partners. My father's brother, my uncle, if you're keeping track, and his son also play, and it's the four of us.
My father's brother's second roommate. or whatever.
Exactly. It's the four of us who go golfing together, and it's kind of the one opportunity for the four of us each year to get together and not have any distractions. Just go out, play golf, catch up a little bit. It's a really cool event that means a lot to me. So always a good time to do that. My cousin had a wedding he actually attended on Saturday night and then drove overnight from Chicago to the Upper Peninsula to golf on Sunday. So he was in superhero mode to make all of that happen. But ultimately, golfing went very well. Before that, Megan and I went to her family's house in Neenah and hung out there for a little bit. And yeah, had a lot of fun in the UP. Luna did very well. She's our now roughly 7-month-old Australian, coming up on 8 months actually, 8-month-old Australian Shepherd. She was off the leash, and there didn't appear to be any issues. There were a few other dogs, and they generally have a pack mentality. So we tried it out, and she was very responsive, and we tested her out when she was playing with the other dogs, calling her when she was fully engaged, to, kind of show that, okay, no matter what she's doing, she still understands that she needs to stop and listen to us, which all went very, very well. So that was very encouraging for the training that she's been getting from Megan primarily, frankly. And that's all going very well and according to plan. So the dogs had a lot of fun. I think Megan had a good time, and I got to golf. So all good things.
Those are all wins right there.
If I may,
Yeah.
did you win?
How'd you do?
No. So the way the tournament is structured, there are 3 flights. There's the championship flight, the first flight, and the second flight.
Where's the IPA
And the
flight
second-
and the...
The second flight is for the older folks and people who only golf once a year, who just want to get out and have some fun. The first flight is probably where I belong, because I golf just a little bit more than once a year and have a little bit of natural skill at the game. I won't claim a lot, but
I beat you in Top Golf.
Yes, you did.
At least once.
That has very little to do with
that
a lot of
one
things.
time. I mean,
Ultimately, the first flight is probably where I belong, because I only play a handful of times each year, and I am kind of okay at hitting the ball. I guess on my best day, I'm playing.
You can smack the crap out of the ball. I'll give you that.
Right. But on my best day, I if I put it all together, I'm probably averaging bogey golf, which is, for people who don't understand golf, one shot above what is considered the average, or what it should be. Average isn't the right term, but like, this is how many hits it should take you to get, based on the difficulty or length of the course. Right. So on my best day, I am a bogey golfer. Not that I've never had a birdie, but I can count on one hand how many times I've had a birdie. So it's not a lot, but between the two of us, when you do a scramble style, I mean, it means you get 2 shots at the hole each time, and I can hit the ball reasonably well. And my father plays golf a lot, so he's quite good. I feel like I'm holding him back, but he's made it very clear he doesn't really care about the tournament. I mean, he'll try his hardest to win, but outside of that, it's not like he's disappointed or depressed that he's not winning this tournament every year. So I don't feel so awful.
you don't want to know that.
I was in the championship flight this year, which seems I should not be in the championship flight, frankly, based on my skill level, but I was, and we had an okay round. We had some opportunities. I mean, the way golf goes, you remember the best shots, you try to forget the worst ones, and at the end of the day, you kind of just say, okay, there were some opportunities that we left on the course, or we were kicking butt. We really nailed it, but there were still 1 or 2 more I think we could have had, and ultimately we had a good day, not a great day, and I think we were probably the middle. We were in the second half of the championship flight scoring. So we weren't in the top 50% of the competitors in that area, which is my fault entirely. My father's a great golfer and spends a lot of time doing it. And I am the anchor of this team, not in the sense that I, hold us down, in the sense that I hold us back from what we could be. But ultimately,
you hold them down too, probably.
Yeah, had a great time. Had a few beverages, as one is like to do in the Upper Peninsula
Well, there you
at a golf
go.
tournament. So
I
another successful year.
I went golfing this weekend actually at the pitch and putt, and I don't know, is this a phenomenon that might be just me? But I'll have a great round. I'll get on the green within one or two shots, and then I always seem to just, and part of my language on this one, but like piss it away putting. I don't know, for some reason.
Brent, if you could watch your language, that would be great.
All right, I will try in the back, but I can't think of another way to put it other than I just can't. I get on the green, and then it's, if I'm lucky, it's 2. If I'm really lucky, if I'm like unlucky, it's 4 or 5.
If I may, that's actually one of my strongest aspects for our team. I am a very straight putter with respect to, and it's a competition. But when you're in a group like my uncle, my father, and my cousin and I, you want to be strategic. You want to help one another out. You want to have that success. So that all 4 of us will look at a ball and say, okay, here's where we think it's going to break. And I'm really good at following the instructions, where if they say, hit it here and hit it with enough speed to go this far, I'm very good at gauging, okay, this is what they're thinking, and this is how that translates into actually putting. And I've had a lot of success doing that, and putting is one of my strong suits. I'd say my weakest this last weekend was driving. As per Kyle, and you were there as well, Brent, I can hit the ball really well. I can, but keeping it straight is another challenge.
That whole aiming
But what
thing.
I was able to bring to the table this last weekend for my father was my putting, which was, I will call, above average. I mean, we weren't great. Nothing was fantastic, but my putting, I'd like to think, was one of my strongest aspects, and I would place it as above average. My putt was either close enough where it was a definite gimme, or it was in. And if it was close enough and a definite gimme, then my dad could take a stab at it and really try and go for it. And that benefits us a lot. So yeah, that putting, I totally get. You want to avoid those 3 putts and a little more time at the putt golf courses, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, it's like 4, 4, 7, 4, 7. Like, oh, if you could get rid of the 7s, I'd be a decent golfer. Kyle, have you golfed recently at all, or plan on doing it? Besides the Top Golf experience?
Last time I went legit golfing was when I did the golfing merit badge in Boy Scouts. There was, in order to do that, I think there was like 2 or 3 weekends in a row where we had to go out to a golf course, and like the first weekend or something like that was just learning how to putt/swing like irons, and then the second weekend was like more putting/swinging irons, and then we went to like driving as well to like get that motion, and then the third weekend I think was just playing the game, or maybe the second weekend like the afternoon was playing a game, while the morning was more training for Boy Scouts. But I do want to get out golfing. At Top Golf, I can get the ball to go where I want it to go, which I feel like is a pretty big plus. One of the very first times as an adult I swung a golf club was actually at a family vacation at some cabins, and my uncle and my cousins are like huge golfers, and they had some old crappier clubs there with a bunch of crap golf balls they didn't care about, and they were teeing them off into the lake trying to hit, like, there's an island that was maybe 150 200 yards out, and they're like aiming for a tree, or they just aim for random stuff to like aim at. And my very first swing as an adult, I actually like hit the tree that they were all aiming for, and I'm like, oh, I'm done, like I'm out. I took a couple extra swings after that just to have a good time, but I feel like I can put the ball where I want to put it. I just have not actually golfed at a golf course. I've been meaning to. I think I want to get my own, like, I don't have a golf set or a golf club set or anything like that. So, I mean, I've heard if I want something halfway decent, like, I want to get a golf club set that's not, I don't want to pay a lot of money for it because I don't think I'm going to be golfing that often. But I want something that, number one, won't be embarrassing if I go on like a business trip or something like that, as far as like dude, that's a $100 Walmart set. I want something a little nicer than that. Mainly, I want something that's not going to put me at a disadvantage while golfing.
Hey, now Walmart is a great place to shop.
So
Not
if
for
I may,
golf clubs. I've heard that the budget I'm looking for is between like $300 and $500. Somewhere in that range, I can get something that's okay. At least halfway competitive.
if I may, track the set of golf clubs that I had initially for probably 10 years of my life at least was either a $200 or $300 special, which may have been like end of season package at like Dick's Sporting Goods in Appleton. And my dad picked it up for me to have my own clubs, and nothing special, but you'd never be embarrassed. No, it's not a tailor-made set. No, it's not a Titleist, brand name, thousands of dollars for each club. But you can get all your irons, you get a putter, and you get a couple drivers, and you're fine. You can spend as much money on the game as you want to, and contrary to popular belief, you cannot buy a better score. Having better clubs will not make you a better golfer. Now, it can make a slight difference if you buy the fanciest driver on the market and you're swinging it correctly. You might be able to get an additional, 20, 30 yards out of the ball. But will that pull everything together? No. At the end of the day,
I've heard more of it's like a durability kind of thing rather than a skill kind of thing.
Exactly. So that was my first point. And then second point, if my comments about my finishing in championship flight weren't proof enough, I thought I'd share a brief story with you. Just a real quick anecdote.
Boy.
It's time
Nothing
for
long,
a story.
No. Go for it.
The thought I was going to share there, or my story there, is just because I was in championship flight does not mean that I am at all a good golfer. I think it was not 2 or 3 years ago, I was golfing, I believe, with my father at his old club. So maybe it was 3 years ago. And a time where I teed off, and the tee box was near another green, as most golf courses are set up. You go from the green to a tee box, and you go through the course that way. You go down the course. I'm not going to tell you how golf works, but
you aim at the hole with the flag.
Strangest thing. So I'm sitting at the tee box, and there's a group of folks who my dad evidently knows, or they were just really jolly, I don't know, who were getting off of the green. They had just finished their hole, and they were moving on, and it wasn't coming up to our tee box, but they had to wait for us. Sometimes there's some crossing that occurs in the golf course, and I go to tee off, and I'm not very good, and there are people watching now, which of course inevitably makes things a little worse.
Able to yell that 4 number?
Because when I went to tee off on the ball, I hit the ball, and it shot left at what I'm going to call a greater than 45-degree angle, approximately 60 degrees to my left. So if you're keeping track, that's about my 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock almost.
Math works.
You're talking about 9 o'clock, 9:30, shot straight left with how I hit it, just horribly. Only thing is,
50-degree angle,
there was a really big tree right in that direction, and the ball crack came bouncing back directly at me, not 2 feet from where I had just hit the ball off the tee. So yeah, don't let the idea that I'm in quote unquote championship flight mean anything whatsoever, because less than 2 or 3 years ago,
it's like a balls back thing in beer pong, right? You just get to go again. It's like a free mulligan because it came back.
If you're in a tournament, no, that is not a free mulligan.
If I may,
you're golfing on your own and you're embarrassed as all hell,
what the judges
you
don't
can call it a mulligan. You can call it a mulligan, but in your soul of souls, you just wasted a stroke and it was not pretty.
If I may, that is legitimately a joke about golfing, where there's a man who's a foot or two in front of the tee. The PA announcer says, "Sir, you have to start back at the tee. You can't start ahead, like 2 feet ahead." He's like, "It's my second shot." So you are legitimate. I definitely butchered it because I haven't heard that joke in for a while, but I've literally I've heard I've heard Nick's story as a joke, so I'm impressed that actually happens in real life. Though,
If I may, are you saying that my golfing is a joke, sir?
what am I to you, a joke?
What
No,
is
that's-
my golfing is no laughing matter. This is very serious. It's a tournament, Brent. A tournament where they
If I
keep
may,
score and everything.
In other news, life events for this weekend, I have created the 3 main slabs for my desk that I'm building. I've been kind of busting my butt doing all kinds of woodwork and sanding, and still have a lot of work to do. And I'd like to get some pictures up for you guys to see. I think between the 3 of us, I've sent a couple Snapchats or a Marco Polo here and there. But I have the 3 main slabs. I have a few more little tweaks and additions to clean it up. And then I need to take it into the jet sander to get it all cleaned up as far as leveling everything out. Start building the base. But the
So, if I
woodworking
may, real quick, I don't think you want a jet sander initially. I think you want a planer initially to get it down. That's going to help you way easier and way faster than a jet sander.
Yeah, only I need a planer that would allow me to get through about 30 inches, which I don't know if that exists. For
That you
anything
literally
that's
can
affordable.
the width is going to be the big thing to get a big enough one that can handle that width.
That's what I'm saying.
But
The width is 30. The length is 8 feet.
yeah, you're gonna have to find like a local shop. There's no way unless you're gonna
Or a
hand
jet
plane it.
sander. Or a jet sander. No, there's a shop in Northeast Minneapolis, evidently, that I've reached out to that has a jet sander that can get through like 36 inches or almost 40 inches. And I'm just going to have to run it through the jet sander a bunch. There's only one of the 3 pieces that I did before I got a jig from my neighbor. It is a little bit bowed, so I may have to cut, like I'm hoping no more than 1/8 of an inch, sand it off essentially by this jet sander. So yeah, it'll take a little bit, but I've got the 3 pieces in there, and that'll be a lot faster than using my random orbital sander to try and manage the entire length of the board. But at any rate, where I was going with that is I was doing the woodworking, and I'm really enjoying that. And we had an idea before we started recording to do some top 5 lists, and I'm going to jump into that right now rather than save that for the end.
Can I quick do my life update?
You know, Kyle, I just frankly don't care. Yeah, no, you're good.
No, that brings back like painful memories of our first few. I mean, this is episode 50. It brings back some painful memories of we'd get to the end of episodes and I'd be like, oh, I haven't shared my life update yet. But at least I got it out of the way first.
It's hard,
Go
man.
for it. It's
So,
hard
yeah.
being third.
Right? Well, after Endgame coming out, I decided to start reading all the Infinity Gauntlet comic book series. There's like 5 different storylines that are part of like the Infinity Gauntlet or Infinity Stone, like, I guess, collection of comics. And like, to be honest, like growing up, and I didn't ever read comic books. Like, if there was a comic book, it was definitely like one of those free comic books. It was always like, oh, sweet, like a comic book, like awesome. But like, I never was into it enough to like buy them or follow any stories where I was able to like, wait each week for the next issue. Like it just wasn't my thing. So this is legitimately, besides graphic novels, I think I've read a couple of graphic novels like Watchmen, Mouse. That might be it. But so I started going through the Infinity Gauntlet series. I got through Thanos Quest and Infinity Gauntlet, and just to kind of like get the comic version of that storyline. Definitely a lot different than the Marvel Universe. I understand why they can't do the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I understand why they took their approach versus following the comics to a T, because the comics just kind of introduced these random characters that have maybe been mentioned before in previous comics, but just reading it from the start, it's like Thanos Quest is literally a 2-comic series where Thanos just goes to a bunch of people that are not really popular comic book characters and just gets all the gems. It's just like, okay, like he just in two books, in 2 comics, he just picks up all 6 Infinity Stones and just has them. It's like,
That seems too easy.
right? It's like literally like every 3 pages of the comic was him just, oh, now I got to go to this person and get his Infinity Gem. Now I got to go to this person and I'll get his. And so it's like, oh, well, that went over pretty quick. So I get it, but it's kind of interesting to see the comic book version of events and how really it's nothing like the Marvel Universe. Like, Thanos, his whole 50% of the universe snap is not actually just for his own wanting. And they introduced this. This is not number one. These comics are whatever 30 years old, 40 years old in the 80s, so whatever that, or 60s, 70s, something like that. This is not a spoiler by any means, but he gets them for the mistress of death. That's like he wants her to love him and cherish, and really, he wants to win her love. And so he's collecting these gems in order to annihilate half the universe for the mistress of death. Like that's the whole purpose behind it.
I actually did see a little bit of that, and I didn't do it watching or reading the comic books. I was able to find that kind of summary information on YouTube, which was really cool. Like it piqued my interest. I wanted to watch it and kind of see, okay, the old version of Thanos from, whatever decade or era that came out. He's this goofy purple color, and they modernized it really well with, is it Josh Brolin or something? I think is the actor's name.
The guy from Deadpool 2.
Yeah, he's. I'd say he's from the Avengers movies, but you can put from whatever you want. But they modernized it
Goonies,
really nicely. The Goonies.
Yeah, sure. He was the older brother in Goonies.
Geez, that makes him pretty old.
At any rate, it was really cool to get the summary of the history of all those different pieces and what it used to be, and then to see how they took it and adapted it to the new format of things.
And they definitely switched up, like, who got snapped. Like, in the comics, Hawkeye gets snapped. They definitely, made up their own story to kind of fit a little better with the storyline.
Hold on. If I may, are you implying there were writers who actually had original ideas and plot lines that followed a character?
And they worked. Yeah, we're gonna bring
We can do it. We can do it.
It's time for it. Nope, it's time for it.
Wait, if I may, really quick, I do want to apologize for saying no. And I apologize for saying Josh Brolin's old. I looked it up, and I think he's actually, looking at his age, he's still very youthful and in the prime of his life. So if any of our listeners listening, I think that Josh Brolin's old. He's definitely not. I apologize to him for that.
You heard it here first that Brent said Josh Brolin is old.
He's not. I take it back.
But this is a great transition into Game of Thrones talk.
Game of Thrones talk.
Just
Dumb
kidding.
And Dumber
Just kidding.
are at it again.
No, we're done.
No. We're just kidding.
Just kidding.
Nick,
we're kidding.
Star Wars
Nick, we're
film.
kidding. Nick, stop.
Kyle, you're like with the match in a dry
Discord, deafen Nick.
Which is,
you cannot tell Discord to do that. It doesn't work like that. It's not voice
finish
command.
my thought here. It's not
All
even.
right, you can tell us about Star Wars. Give us a Star Wars date.
Dumb and Dumber are the directors of Game of Thrones, that series that didn't have an ending and ended after season 6.
Our viewership has gone down since we started talking about Game of Thrones.
This is okay. How much I care, because I'm just here to talk to you guys. But I love the viewers; they're great. At any rate, Star Wars is coming out.
We are just winning, Nick. We're doing so good.
Dumb and Dumber, the directors, are in charge of Star Wars. And my only thought on this is, if you were looking for story, they haven't had it in quite some time. But if you think of it this way, the visual aspect of fantastic for the last 2 seasons. They were clearly just after, like, the picture of the year, although Avengers is going to win it because Captain America Against the World is way too cool to not win it. But they were clearly just going for visually stunning, story doesn't matter. But as far as Star Wars is concerned, how cool is the freaking lightsaber battle going to be? A lightsaber battle or lightsaber battles.
Like,
it
to be fair,
be awesome.
The
So
latest,
cool.
this 7, 8, 9, at least 7 and 8 Star Wars, that those lightsaber battles have been subpar. Like, I know people, diehards of the 4, 5, 6 of Star Wars, hated 1, 2, and 3, the prequels, but what you can't say is that they had bad lightsaber fights. The prequel 1, 2, 3 lightsaber fights, even for number 1, like the Darth Maul fight, amazing. Like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, that whole battle. Like, you can go to YouTube and just watch that battle where it cuts out all the other BS in between and compare that to 4, 5, 6, even number 6, where it's, Luke Skywalker against Darth Vader. It's not even close in awesomeness of this lightsaber battle. So this 789, the lightsaber battles in general have been a little weak sauce. It's been explainable because they're all, most of the Jedi in 7-8 anyway have been, noobs. But if 9, I'm really hoping for a good lightsaber battle. It has been a little bit since we've had a nice, solid, quality lightsaber battle.
I don't know enough about the original films. I can't speak overly intelligently about the films, but when spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the original Star Wars
movie, you
movie,
don't need to spoil it anymore. You can just do it.
Yeah, if it's over 30 years old.
Okay, when Obi-Wan Kenobi dies to Darth Vader.
What?
Really?
No, just kidding.
When they fight, that's not really an epic saber battle, is it?
No, it's not.
So that's what I remembered. Hold on, that's what I remembered. But then I saw a video on Facebook or something the other day where someone took the time to remake that battle.
I saw that as well.
They made it what they should have been.
Same.
And it was flipping. They should edit the original film to show, because they got.
They've already done that 5 times, so they might as well do it once more.
Exactly. To insert what this epic battle should have looked like. And it was so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
To say, other than if you haven't seen it and you want to see a really good saber fight, it's everything that the final fight of these two should have been. And it shows even more that Obi-Wan was just like, no, I'm supposed to die here so that Luke will, be affected by this, and blah, 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 per plot and story, which was a thing back in the day.
And they did as much as they could to include original footage too, which I really like. You can tell when it's original footage versus the new stuff, but they definitely tried to include as much original footage as they could. And I appreciate. Brent, have you seen this? I know Nick.
I watched the whole thing. I usually will start a video like that and watch just like a couple seconds of it, see if it interests me. That caught my attention the entire time.
Brent will have our Twitter
very well edited.
I was gonna say, so if I may,
I'll go on it right now.
It'd be great to post it on Twitter for all of our twats who follow. At any rate, Kyle, did we have any other life updates before I circle back to woodworking?
I know I really do want to get this top 5 thing because I'm very excited about that topic. I know Brent.
So the concept. You want to walk us through the concept?
Yeah. So we get other life. The other life updates can wait. This is a solid concept. We're
putting life on hold here.
I didn't steal this.
Exactly.
I borrowed this idea from Reddit, and the whole idea is, without saying what category it is, what is your top 5? So you have a top 5 whatever. So for example, I could say blue, black, green, red, orange. I don't know if that's actually the order, but you get it. Favorite colors, So we'll go through our top 5 whatever, and then we have to guess what each other's category is. If it gets too hard, we can maybe go into like yes or no questions to like help lead us to what it is. Kind of like Dylan's, what's that sound? Similar thing, but only if it gets difficult. But so Nick is very excited about his, so we'll have Nick go first.
Jumping in.
He's giving a top 5. We have to guess the category.
I'm coming in hot. And number 1, per my lead in, my what's the segue that Brent does or whatever, where he changes topics. At any rate, woodwork is my number 1. Number 2, I categorized a group of them: fishing, trapping. Number 3, mechanical work, like fix your car. Cooking. Number 5, farming.
These are your top 5 hobbies.
Top skills that guys should have. Top skills guys should have.
You had to make your nope a little longer because Discord cuts you off if you don't talk long enough.
No, that is not it, sir.
So say them again one more time.
And
is that in? Sorry. Does the order matter?
Order does not necessarily matter. No. The number 1, woodworking. Number 2, hunting, fishing, trapping. Number 3, such as fixing your car. Number 4, cooking. Number 5, farming. That number 3, I think, is a big hint. Mechanical work, such as fix your car.
Life skills everybody should have?
No, that was not quite it.
Things you need.
The number 5 threw me off. What was
things you
farming?
need if you're going to
And
survive.
farming was pretty broad because I mean, these are things I'm picturing. Like farming could be managing cattle. It could be plowing a field. It could be any number of items related to farming.
Things you need if you're going to homestead a new prop.
You're kind of close, I guess. I mean, you're working in the right direction as far as homesteading is an old time thing that people
do
at one point in time.
I think I got it. Like skills that are dying off.
That is in the right direction. If your family member in question is actually dead or still alive.
Things your grandpa taught you.
Top 5 things your grandfather could do that you can't.
Ooh, I like it.
Ooh.
And it's of course there are people who can woodwork and people who can hunt and fish and trap and those kinds of things. But in general, the generational shift and at this point it might even be great grandfather for the current generations. But the top 5 things your grandfather or great grandfather could do that you can't: woodworking, because you don't have the tools or the experience; hunting, fishing, trapping. Again, you need to have the right tools, whether that's a boat, a fishing reel, traps, places to hunt, and weapons to hunt with. Mechanical work, fixing your car. How many dads or grandfathers or great grandfathers, just spent a lot of time working on their cars?
Do either of you change your own oil?
I knew how briefly, like I knew how to at one point, and I've just been too lazy to do it.
So I know how. I just don't have the ability with being in an apartment complex to easily
you have
do that
to you have to dispose of it, which is like you're paying essentially for the disposal.
I'm pretty sure if you go to like an AutoZone or something, get your oil there, you can actually they'll take your disposal for free if you buy their oil from them, something like that. So
that would be a good deal
for me. That would be when I do eventually get a house of my own. I will be changing my own oil because it's just way cheaper and it doesn't take as long. It doesn't take that long, and you don't have to wait in line. You can just do it at home.
Yeah, I don't do it yet either, but it would be nice to do someday.
After the mechanical work, I touch on cooking because although most of our generation knows how to use the microwave, they would not be able to take the items from item number 2, hunting, fishing, trapping, raw items from the garden, what have you, and create modern food by any means. Not that every grandfather was a great cook, more so the grandmothers, I would arguably say. But for the woodsman, I threw that in there, right? And then farming, that's where managing cattle, everything that goes with that, milking cows, plowing fields, knowing when to plant what, and doing those kinds of things. It's a pretty broad one, but I didn't want to get overly specific. That's why I also threw in mechanical work rather than just fix your car. But those were, in my mind, the top 5 things your grandfather could do that you can't today.
I say, if I may, if you went to like the grandmother thing, I think sewing's also one thing that's kind of dying off.
I had that for the grandfathers initially, and I then summarized hunting, fishing, and trapping as one so that I could get some of the other items in. But I absolutely agree that sewing and all those things that allow you to maintain materials, patch things rather than buy things new, that was the way of the world back in the day. You would always fix things.
If I for the robotics team, for the first robotics team that I helped volunteer with, they have to sew cloth in order to make bumpers that like fit around the robot. It's basically like a piece of plywood with pool noodles in it with just some fabric over the top. But the fabric, to make it easier, instead of sweeping out your bumpers, you can make the fabric so it like velcros up or down. And so like I basically had to teach them how to use a sewing machine in order to sew their bumper fabric correctly.
Those are things you would not expect to have to do at a robotics.
Right? Yeah, there you go. Robotics, teaching sewing since whenever robotics started, 1990s. Brent.
But that's just it. So many basic skills exist that prior generations had. Now,
did you guys have did you guys have sewing in high school? Brent, we had it in middle school. Yeah.
Middle school.
Yes. I made a wonderful pillow.
I also had shop class where we used the bandsaw and all kinds of other tools in middle school.
Yes.
We had that in middle school, and I had it in high school through my engineering class. But for everybody else, it was. I mean, mine was an elective, but if you wanted more of that, it was purely an elective. Versus middle school, I think it was required for everybody.
Yeah.
Brent, what do you got?
All right. Here we go.
Top 5.
Number 1, on the beach. Number 2, and this is not in any particular order, I'm just saying these. Number 2, a tree. Number 3, a mountain view. 4, swimming. 5, next to a waterfall.
Ooh,
Top
the
5
swimming
places to kiss.
Yeah, no, pretty much, but not what I was exactly going for. Now that you say that, that sounds a lot better than what I was thinking.
Top 5 places to bounce chicka wow wow. Is that what you're going for?
I was gonna say that was my first thought, but then I'm like,
no, because the beach throws it off. You should not be bow chicka wowing on a beach.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done that, but it does seem like it in like the idea sounds good, but in the reality of the sand sounds just like a terrible plan.
And now that Nick says places to kiss, we should go with that one. But that was not quite what I had originally in mind.
Okay,
so you have to tell us what you had originally.
Oh, you're not gonna guess it?
Well, I thought.
Wait, places to kiss is not it?
It's not that one. No, it's what it should be.
You made it sound like it was.
It's not. It's what it should be, but it's not.
All right, run through them real quick one more time.
All right, near a beach, a tree, a mountain view, swimming, next to a waterfall.
I would say pictures, but while swimming, like that
throws
that
to
off.
Propose? Yeah, like the swimming throws it off for proposals.
Yeah, that's why I put it in there.
Does it have anything to do with relationships with the opposite sex?
Nope.
Okay,
Nothing.
Okay. Best places to see wildlife.
That's a good one, but not quite. Think a little bit more.
Read them off one more time.
All right. I'll do it one more time, and then I'll let you know. Near a beach, a tree, a mountain view, swimming, next to a waterfall.
Next to a water. Best places to get sunburned.
Next to a tree, though?
Yeah, because you think you're going to get covered by the shade. That's a tricky one because you're cooled off by the waterfall, so you don't feel hot. You're near a tree, so you're like, oh, I won't get sunburned, but you still will. And everything else is definitely just, oh, yeah, I'm in the water. I don't feel hot. Definitely going to get sunburned.
Does it have anything to do with... Oh, sorry. What was your response to that?
Oh, that was a good guess, but not it.
We need more clues, more context.
I think we have to start asking yes or no questions.
Right, ask a couple questions, and then I'll give it to you. Won't keep it going too long.
Can we confirm again that has nothing to do with the opposite sex?
It is a personal event.
Okay. A personal event. Best place? No, I was gonna say take a nap, but the swimming thing definitely throws that for.
Not napping.
Oh, maybe best sounds.
Ooh, good guess. It's not an auditory thing, or
okay.
It's more visual. It's more visual and something else with that. So,
all right, I got nothing.
All right.
Okay, give us a good clue. Give us a good clue.
A good clue. You actually do this every day. Maybe multiple times.
This place to go to the bathroom?
Yes.
While swimming. Okay. Read
Best
through those
places,
one more time. Go through one more time.
So near a beach, I have a picture that I took of a beach in Dominican Republic of a place that I had the view where I peed, and it was phenomenal. It's the background of my phone, actually. A tree. There's a tree that I had at camp that we went to and worked at for a long time. That was just the perfect. I called it the pea tree. It was.
We had a pea plant when we were in cabin 4.
Yeah, I had the pea tree, and this is my personal thing. It's right off the trail though, so it's kind of sketchy. I had to make sure no one was looking, but anytime you can get a good view from a mountain, like you're on a mountain hike and you can get a nice overlook of the scenery.
Yeah, it's the classic Tyrion piss off the end of the world kind of thing.
Exactly. Swimming, I've had some experiences swimming where you let it go and it's just
who does
something
not?
else.
That's every time I'm swimming. If I have to pee, I'm just peeing.
So if I may, the Brent, when we came out and visited you in Seattle, we did go on a hike up to what lake was that?
Yes.
Lake or
Snow Lake. Snow Lake.
We went to Snow Lake, and in the crater that is Snow Lake, on the top of this big hill, I don't know if it qualifies as a mountain. At the top of this big hill, there's a lake in a crater, essentially. And when we were hiking down towards the lake, a sign that said "bathroom this way." And after having hiked the entire way up, and drank water, of course, to stay hydrated as one should during a hike, I had to use the facilities. And I followed the signs, and I found myself in probably one of the most, if not the most, scenic bathrooms ever. And I call it a bathroom because that is where people go to the bathroom. But it was a wooden box with a cap on it that had a toilet seat underneath said cap to keep critters out of it.
Dude, Boundary Waters is even better than that.
Oh no, it was a beautiful
looking
view.
At the lake, looking at the mountain view and the mist rolling, or the mist/fog rolling in and out. Oh my gosh. Talk about places to go to the bathroom that are just breathtakingly beautiful. If your experience isn't already quite fantastic, that'll make it that way.
So
you know, they say that sometimes I hear the toilet referred to as the throne. Most toilets do not live up to that billing. At Snow Lake, with that view, you were truly on a throne.
You are.
I just remember when we were in Boundary Waters for Boy Scouts, like the bathrooms at the campsites were literally a piece of PVC pipe or something that was, or maybe it was like a wrapped piece of plastic, like just a cylinder coming out of the ground with a toilet seat on top of it. And that was it. That was your bathroom in Boundary Waters. You literally sit, there'd be a small trail off the backside of the campsite that went back maybe 50 to 100 feet. You'd sit on this toilet in the middle of the woods. You're literally just on nothing around you, just literally on a toilet in the middle of the woods. And you just brought your toilet paper back there with you. You went and you came back. If you had to pee, you just go pee on a tree.
Same idea. Same idea. All right, Kyle, what's your top five?
I'm going to read mine in reverse order.
Whoa.
Number 5, a tube of super glue. Number 4, an Airwing model from the game Starlink. It's a plastic model of an Airwing, the thing that
Star Fox
flies. Yeah, from the Star Fox games, one of those plastic model of that. Number 3, my hedgehog Zeke. Number 2, a knife. And number 1, Legos.
Oh,
the top 5 worst things to step on.
Ah, damn it!
Dang!
Oh, that was so good. Oh, I was so happy with that.
I was lost there. I could not. The Lego must have
First try?
The Lego probably gave it away.
Oh, that was...
Yeah. 5 was tube of super glue, a plastic A-Wing model, which this thing is like... And they're all things in my room currently. So it's top 5 worst things I could step on currently in my room. In the room I'm currently in. So
man, that was
super
clutch.
Glue, wow. Starlink Airwing model. That thing is really pointy. The hedgehog is pretty obvious. A knife, and then I got to put Legos above knife because that's just the classic thing to say about Legos.
No, I was onto you. I was onto you from the very beginning.
You had me when you were like hedgehog and knife. Because at first I was thinking like you're modeling something. You know, you have the model R-Wing. You use super glue to put together. Then you're like the hedgehog. I'm like, that has nothing to do with.
And everything had a point except the super glue. And I'm like, well, that's not sharp, but it'd be irritating.
It'd be real bad to step on.
Step on it.
Oh my gosh, that would be terrible.
I would put in the disclaimer. It would be irritating to step in the super glue, but not a big deal because super glue is actually.
That's why it was number 5. That's why it's number 5. I mean, your foot could potentially get super glued to the ground, but you could also just get, some nail polish remover, and it wouldn't be as bad as some of the other things potentially.
I've seen super glue be pretty bad though. We had a counselor who was not known to be the brightest tool in the shed. He takes the okay sign, right? He takes his other fingers, puts them in between that okay sign in another circle. So he has 2 circles that he is super glued together and could not get them off for the rest of the night.
Super glues his thumb to pointer finger, and then takes the other hand and basically handcuffs himself by going thumb to pointer finger through his already super glued thumb and pointer finger on his other hand. So he was stuck good. He was stuck very good.
The ideas of youth. That's all I can say. That was ridiculous. That's my, when I think super glue, I think of that, and I just want to stay the heck away from it. Like, no, thank you.
We got a couple more minutes. I want to kind of touch back on some of the life update stuff. And I had an interesting experience. I think we went, it was not Memorial Day. Maybe it was Saturday or Sunday. Maybe it was Sunday we went. So I did do something that weekend. I went to my very first MLS game, or the Major League Soccer. We went to the Colorado Rapids versus some other team that started with a B. Colorado Rapids won 3-2. It was actually a really good game. Like, I enjoyed it, but that was my first ever professional soccer I've ever seen. Like, in person. Like, I played FIFA, I watched some of the World Cup, but like being there in person, like, those guys are a lot bigger than they look on the FIFA screen. And I'm not even that big of a FIFA guy, but on TV and FIFA, those guys are actually pretty big dudes. Like, and there was actually, in at least American MLS, it seemed, a lot less BS of injuries. Like, there was still a couple here and there, but it seemed a lot less than FIFA. Or the FIFA World Cup, everybody was falling over all over the place. They get, flopping like crazy. But most of the times that somebody went down, it was like, that actually, it probably doesn't hurt as much as they're showing, but that could have actually hurted. And there was actually 2 guys on the other team that actually got hurt enough where they did pull themselves, like, they did get pulled out of the game, and they were forced to sub. So they actually ended up using one of their subs in the first half, which my wife played soccer through college, and she said that's a very bad thing to have to use one of your subs in the first half, because in MLS, once you get subbed out, like, you can't, number one, you only get 3 subs, but once you're subbed out, you can't go back in. So it was actually a big deal. And so the guy was legit hurt from playing soccer, which now that I've actually watched the game and seen some of these headers where they're both 2 guys are going for the same header, oh my God, Juliana at one point said soccer is actually one of the sports with the most concussions. And I think I actually believe it. It seemed like at least every single person on the field went up for a header where they could have collided with a ball coming in hot or somebody else's head at least once in that whole game. It's dang, I can understand why concussions are actually a pretty decently big deal in MLS.
If I may, right before homecoming, I think my freshman year, I was on the freshman soccer team, and I only went for 1 header the entire year. I was thinking, this is my chance to be aggressive. The ball is right where my head's going to be. I'm going to jump up and get to it. Another player from actually your high school, Nick, went for it as well. We collided. We didn't hit the ball. We hit each other.
Oh, no.
I left with a black eye. I'm pretty sure because he didn't get in the rest of the game. He left with a concussion. I could definitely, I was lucky I have a really hard head, but I could easily see how that could happen. It's not.
Why you gotta hurt my high school's players?
I think they won, but I didn't mean to. I thought it was gonna be great. I'm I'm doing it. Of course
they won. They're from my high school.
Yeah. So headers suck is the moral of the story.
And also in general, this year has been a lot of my firsts, quote unquote, for professional games. I want to hit up a professional lacrosse game. I think that would be super fun to go to. And apparently there's a Colorado professional lacrosse team here as well. So that has high potential. But I also went to my very first NBA game with the Nuggets, and it was I don't know, professional games are definitely a lot of fun. Definitely pretty expensive, but MLS, not so expensive. I think we got actually good tickets. We got by good tickets, they were $35 a ticket, and it was right on midfield. And actually, this the stadium's fairly small. We were all the way up, but like honestly, being all the way up was probably ideal, and because we were also right next to the like stairs to go back to the concessions and whatnot. But like soccer, like there was some deals online where like for some of the crappier like corner tickets, it was like $25, and that includes a free beer and a free hot dog. It's like, oh my, like it doesn't get much better than that. Like it's so cheap.
Heather.
Same thing with like MLB games. Like baseball's so cheap to go to as far as professional sports are concerned.
If you can go on the weekday or like at an off time or against not a very good opponent, you can get some really good deals. The one MLS game we went to, the Sounders here in Seattle, we probably paid $15 total, including tax, for our 2 tickets. But it was, I think, it was like a Thursday night, and it was actually really good seats. Like it was back, but it was covered. It was on the ground level, but it was covered underneath. So when it rained, we didn't get the rain. We still saw it pretty fine. Like it was one of those, like a season ticket holder was just trying to get rid of it because
they couldn't go to that game.
Who's going to go on a Thursday? So I mean, if you can get them on the right off chance, you can really get some good deals. Same with baseball. You go on a day game in the middle of the week, you probably get those for dirt cheap.
Right? Yeah, Julia and I were talking like maybe this next upcoming MLS season, like we'll look at how much season tickets actually would be, because like that was super fun. And if season tickets are only like $400 or something like that, like why not? Like can't, especially if we can get decent tickets for a couple $100 for the whole season or something like that. Like it has pretty high potential. It was a pretty good time too. Nick, didn't you just go to like the MLB game with the Twins Brewers in Minneapolis?
I went last night to the Brewers versus the Twins, and the Twins got the win. I am a Brewers fan. I support all of Wisconsin sports, and the only sport I will support, particularly in Minnesota, is the Minnesota Wild, because Wisconsin does not have a hockey team in the NHL to support. So went to the game with some friends. I suppose that's another part of a life update that I didn't necessarily include because
it's okay. It's all good. We started with life update. We had some fun stuff in the middle, and then we're ending with a little bit of finishing up life update.
I'm telling you why it's not important, because the Brewers didn't win. So that's the most important aspect. But yeah, I got to check out that game, and they had $5 tickets because the attendance has sucked in the first month because the weather's just been awful.
Oh, I got
so they sold $5 tickets for like standing room only, and we have a friend who likes to organize activities for all of us and found that. So we all went in on those $5 tickets and just went and sat up in some random section because the rest of these sections were empty anyway. So had a good time, went to the game. My biggest knock on the experience was the same knock I had the last time I went to a Twins game. There's not a damn dessert worth having in the stadium. As a stadium connoisseur of sorts, and Kyle, maybe you remember going to a Packer game with me, Nate, and Paul.
That was a great time.
A number of years ago. A great time was had by all.
That was only 2-3 years ago. That was 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Not last season, but the season before.
But at any rate, you went to the game with me, and I'm not sure if you remember, but I disappeared for some time, and I came back with probably the most decadent, huge piece of cake and ice cream that people have ever seen. And that's because I know in Lambeau that they have a special deal on chocolate cake and ice cream that only goes to the boxes. However, there is one stand and only one stand in the entire stadium that does sell it, and I know where it is. So I went and found that stand, and I hit my sweet tooth, and that made me happy.
Nick, for our viewers, where's the stand? Because that's only like
whoa,
for our viewers. This is inside info for our viewers.
That I don't respect the viewers. No, I can't share such coveted information. That, and frankly, I couldn't describe it if my life depended on it. Like, I just follow my nose, and I have a knack for finding these things. But within Lambeau, it's like directions in the street. Like I'm the street walker who would be able to tell you, oh yeah, you're gonna go until you hit the Culvers. You're gonna take a right. You're gonna take a about a 3-block drive until you hit the Denny's, and you're going to take a left, and then there's going to be a house with a red roof, and you're going to take a right there, and it's the second house on the left. I don't know any of the street names, but I know exactly how to get there. That's me in Lambeau. I don't know any of the section numbers. I don't pay attention to that. But if I'm in Lambeau and I get about 10 seconds to just look around, I'll tell you exactly where to go and how to get there. But I can't, like,
It's hard
I
to
can't
describe kind of thing. Yeah. No, okay, I get you.
Otherwise, I would tell our viewers where that is, but that can be a secret for you to ferret out if you're ever.
Do you know what
Lambeau
what floor it's on? Do you know what floor it's on? We'll give them that at least.
I know exactly what floor it's on. It's within the atrium. It's in the atrium on the. Oh boy, is it second or third floor? I'd have to look at it, but it's in the
that's
atrium.
enough. That's enough for somebody that's really desperate
area.
for some good chocolate cake to be able to
And
scope
there
out
is
and find.
yes a what I will blatantly call a giant piece of chocolate cake with chocolate frosting with chocolate chips in the chocolate frosting. It is absolutely amazing, and I think they put ice cream with it too, if I'm remembering correctly. But at any rate, the moral of this story is
It will clog your arteries for fairly cheap.
I was in the Twins Stadium. Well, I wouldn't say it was cheap, but I was in the Twins Stadium, and as a connoisseur of sorts, did a marathon of walking. I think I missed 3 innings the first time I was there, which was not this last time. But I just went up and down and all around to every single place that I could get into with the minimum price ticket. And the only ice cream offering they have is Izzy's, which is a very good ice cream. However, it's not Izzy's hard serve, it's Izzy's soft serve, and soft serve ice cream is not worth the money. It's just not good in comparison. So I searched for anything, chocolate, cake, brownies, nothing. So the first time I was heartbroken after having walked a marathon around their stadium 3 different times on 4 different levels. There just wasn't a dessert to be found. Once again, I took Megan with me this time and just went for a long walk looking for desserts. There was a lovely lady who had a little bit too much to drink who fell down the stairs, and that was mildly entertaining. However, desserts were there to be found, and I ended up getting a they actually have shock top beer, which I was pretty excited about. It's a Belgian white, but I got one of those, and it's a very large can of beer, and I think I only had about a third. It
only cost you $12.
I only had about a third of that before I just gave it to my friends who were in a more jovial mood. So that was my dessert for the evening. However, Megan and I went and got ice cream this evening to make up for it. So I'm fairly happy with that. But
there you go. I will say,
all in all, the Twin Stadium sucks for dessert.
I will say the Rocky Stadium is actually pretty good for food choices. I guess I did not particularly scope out their dessert options per se. I am a big fan of, in sporting events, having the whole salted pretzel with cheese. But yeah, Rocky Stadium, pretty good options for snack foods and whatnot. But the Nuggets and Avalanche, the Pepsi Center, it is hot garbage for pretzels or nachos. The Pepsi Center is lacking. I'm sure their Pepsi's fine, but everything else is very lacking in food quality.
Their Pepsi's fine.
I don't. I sure hope so. If they're the Pepsi Center and they have crappy Pepsi, there's something wrong there. But yeah, the food options in the Pepsi Center were definitely underwhelming. Although the seats in the Pepsi Center are those nice padded seats everywhere, and they're very comfy seats. So I'll give them that. But condiments and concessions, hot garbage.
As a little miffed, another note, as a Wisconsin boy in foreign territory in Minnesota, I was a little miffed that the Minneapolis, Minnesota Twins, they have cheese curds. Them more Minnesotan, because that's a thing. They put their cheese curds in a cardboard canoe when they sell them.
Oh, it gets worse. In Minnesota, they like to do marinara sauce with their cheese.
I don't have a problem with marinara
Not
sauce.
with cheese curds. With mott sticks, okay. I'll give it
Mott
to
sticks,
you.
absolutely, but cheese
Cheese
sticks
curds.
is ketchup.
Cheese
I don't know.
curds belong on ketchup with cheese curds.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah, he can't. Okay, he just lost all.
You
credit.
just-
Oh,
yeah,
what do you
you
guys
just
pull
lost
with? What do you
all-
guys? Ranch is good too.
I
Ranch is
eat
good as well.
nothing with cheese curds. Cheese curds deserve their own. They are
Preach.
themselves.
Listen to the man preach.
A beer is the best thing to go with cheese curds. That is the only
Loaded.
thing you're allowed to have with cheese curds. You don't get
load, Jesus.
ketchup with cheese curds. I could
Hey, it's-
maybe
Listen to that man.
understand ranchaholics wanting ranch with cheese curds, maybe, but that's like
Ranch on these curds.
ketchup. Ketchup? No, sir.
We talking about ketchup?
Ketchup
it has to be a,
on cheese
a top
curds.
brand. That's a top
Well,
brand.
Brent, you are cut off. There's no ketchup on cheese curds.
We'll find a way to mute you. I will
Yeah.
kick you
Well,
to another lobby.
Even better, we'll just end now before Brent can insult the Wisconsin cheese curd any
But-
longer.
but
That was
the-
episode 50 of If I May. I hope everybody enjoyed, except for listening to Brent and his cheese curds in ketchup monstrosity
Oh,
of an idea. Erroneous on all
Put
accounts.
ketchup on his steak next.
We do
I
an
don't-
episode.
some-
No, you don't get to talk now. You've lost credibility with putting ketchup on goddamn cheese curds. No, you are not a Wisconsinite. You are officially owned by Seattle. Well, you've been disowned.
Preach it.
We're bringing a new episode every Thursday. We have merch if you want that. There are cool t-shirts. They have our logo on them. It's available. You'll find it. There's links and stuff, maybe.
No
if you want
marinara or ranch sauce.
no marinara ranch sauce in our merch. None at all. Maybe that's almost t-shirt worthy. If you, moving on. If you want to contact with
in
us,
public, we will have a beer with you if you're wearing our merch.
oh, for sure. We will buy you a beer if we see you in public with our merch
Me
on.
too.
What?
I said maybe two.
there you go. Maybe even two if we find you in public with our merch on. If you want to get in contact with us, we do have the email and Twitter at Zarabust or zarabust@gmail.com. Otherwise, besides Brent with his ketchup cheese curds, everybody else can have a great Thursday, and we'll see everybody else. And we'll probably see Brent as well, where he'll have to defend himself and his cheese curds next Thursday. Have a great week.